Okay. Alright, so I'm in my detective mode today. Now obviously this is what you would see from Bossman Digital Media. I think I wanted to just get this out of the way because I didn't want to lose the trail of thought, right? There is something that I wanted to say regarding the LABB murder cases. So let me see. Hold on there. I want to see if I can spot myself in the video. No, not yet. I'm not in the video fully yet, but it's alright. So anyhow, we know what this looks like. So I've taken enough screenshots of it. So yeah man, film shift finished now. Right? Bossman Cinema time at this point in time, right? But if anybody wants to find me on anything, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, everything, whatever you want to find me on, just, you know, don't know, number one, obviously number one Bossman, then you write cinema, followed by YT, which stands for YouTube, right? Yeah. Cool. Right, so you can just type that in and, you know, anything that is, I'm going to talk about more things, but I felt very compelled to talk about this today. So I don't know how I'm going to look, right? I don't know. Let me see. No, alright, that means, so here one now. Alright, I might have to move. Hold on, let me see if I can, sorry. Let me see if I can move this let's see if I can move it. Alright. You see now, I want to get rid of you know. Let's get rid of that. There's nothing to see back there, right? Hold on then, let me move this over a little bit. Can I move that over a little bit? Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad. Alright. Now, today we're going to be talking about it's going to be called Death Note, Another Note, right? And let me see the what mother marker in there. I've cause one thing with me I like to what you call it now. I don't like to be monochromatic, you know, right? So let me look for some marker there. See if we can find some marker there. Alright, yeah. Find some red, I'm gonna find some blue. Right? Alright. So it's Death Note, Another Note. Do I need to adjust this a little more? Let me see. I don't know. Let me see. Alright, yeah. So Death Note, Another Note. The LA for Los Angeles. BB murder cases. Right? That's what we're going to be discussing. Right? We're going to be discussing Death Note, Another Note, LABB murder cases. By the way, if you want to find the source of the video that I got a lot of the information from, look for LN dramatic reading. So let me just write that. You can find this person on YouTube and everything, yeah? Right? So yeah. So that is today's topic of discussion. Now, something, hold on there. Wait there. I might have to pause it. I don't know. Alright, hold on. Let me see if I have a pause this for a minute. Hold on there. Let me see. Give me a second and see if I have a pause this. Hold on there. Alright, so let me apologize for the. Alright, let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I can. Alright, not bad. Hold on then. See if that works. Alright, hold on. Let me move it again. Look upon that. I did have it perfect, you know, and then I move it again. Let me see. Alright, that's as good as I'm going to get it. Right, so yes, Death Note, another note, LABB murder cases. I saw this YouTube video. It was about 3 hours and 52 minutes, close to 4 hours, right? Close to 4 hours of the audio book. It was read by this particular person, so may I big him up because he did an excellent job in terms of the voice acting. Well damn. Yeah, the voice acting, everything, right? All the little work when put in. Alright, so here what more I talk about with this, right? Now let me do this. This is a B and a B. This is a Q and a Q. A B and a B. An R and an R, right? So let's just highlight this for a minute. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because in the audiobook it was suggested that Beyond Birthday was challenging L and saying that I'm going to create a case for you that you cannot solve. Right? That's the idea behind it. Right? But here is the problem with that. The problem, hold on there. Let me see. Yeah, I want to see if I don't know if you can see me good, you know. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. You don't even have to see me all that. Anyway, so look at this. BB, QQ, BB, RR, right? The first victim, I don't remember what order it came in. It might have been Believes Bridesmaid, or maybe it might have been Backyard Bottom Slash, I can't remember. But Backyard Bottom Slash, Porter Queen, Believe Bridesmaid, and then the last person was Ryu Ryuzaki, right? This person here does not fit the profile. He does theoretically, but not really, because if you only knew him as RR, you would never know that his real name is Beyond Birthday. You wouldn't know that. So if we're going off of what he told us, then this name does not fit the bill. How come the first, the second, the third victim match, but this one doesn't? Now you might be thinking, well, this is QQ, how does this match? Well, I could do some transformations in mathematics now. If you do this and spin it round like so. Now mind you, obviously I'd have to draw the BB to look very similar, right? Let me draw the BB similar to how that QQ look. So let me see. If I draw it like this, yeah? Then technically if I spin this around like so, it look like a BB but upside down. Right? So technically this and this is a BB. It's just that this is a 180 degree BB. Right? That is the reason why. So when Naomi Misora was trying to solve the case with Ryozaki intentionally made it problematic for her to make the connection between the QQ and the BB. Right? That was an intentional thing. No. That means that you have a BB here, a BB here, and a BB here, and this person, the fourth person being himself, don't match. So that's the first part of the LABB murder case. That's kind of strange. Now let's look at the MO. Right? They call it the modus operandi. Right? Let's look at the signature. The first victim was beaten by blunt force trauma, causing hemorrhaging and so on. So basically, that was the cause of death. But prior to that, the person was drugged and restrained, right? So the first person was drugged, restrained, and beaten, right? So drugged, restrained, and beaten. Cool? The second person now. This person was drugged, more or less restrained, right? So technically, once you drug somebody, you restrain them. But the last thing this person did was gouge out the person's eye, but obviously he did slap the person in them head. So it was another blunt force trauma case, but also he defiled the corpse, right? So he defiled this corpse, he defiled this corpse too. So this person also suffered a little blunt force, but a little bit of laceration as well, right? So there's that. Hold on there. A phone. Why my phone a freeze? Let me see something. Let me see. Okay. Alright, cool. Sorry about that. Alright, so I guess it's just my device being crazy. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So that's the second. So drug restrained and beaten. This one was more extensive, right? So this is the let me use let me use a different color. So the first victim, right? Basically there was a needle mark indicating that the person was knocked out with some kind of anesthetic, right? Second person is a similar thing, right? Similar knockout thing, but in this case, or maybe the person was knocked out with the instrument that was used to literally put them out. If I remember correctly, the first person was drugged, then the second person got knocked out with the blunt force item, and then after that this person had, the eyes removed, right? The third victim, if I remember correctly now, this person was again similarly drugged and restrained. But the last thing that happened to this person was that the person's corpse ended up being a thing where I'm trying to describe it so that it makes sense. The left arm had a watch. This arm was cut off from the shoulder, right? From right here. So basically you can call it a laceration, right? So due to sharp force trauma this time around, the person's left arm was cut off, the right leg was cut off and left in the bathtub, right? Now here's the problem. The problem is, the reason why he took the arm was because the arm had the watch and he turned the body into a theoretical clock, right? That's what he did with so the third victim was a clock, right? So every person that he killed, he left clues to who the next victim was going to be. That's pretty much how the whole thing panned out, right? So this person had lacerations in the chest, indicating Roman numerals, leading to the number of the apartment of the next victim, right? By the time the police figure it out, the next person done dead already, right? So that was kind of the genius behind the murders. The second person now had their eyes removed, and so that you couldn't, to obscure the fact that the person gouged out the person's eyes, what they did was they took a pair of glasses and put over the person's face. When the investigation continued, they asked the mother of the child if she wore glasses. She said no, she always wear contacts. That is why the eyes were removed, because the contacts were on the eyes. So he removed the eyes and replaced it with glasses to see if you could have picked up on the next hint, indicating that that's the person's blind spot, right? So you have that. So that explains the second victim. Now the third was turned into a clock, right? So the third victim was turned into a clock, right? So let me see if I'm gathering my facts correctly. The first victim had Roman numerals written in his body, indicating the apartment number of the next victim, right? Then you go to the apartment of the next victim. This person had their eyes removed, indicating a blind spot, right? Then the third victim was turned into a clock. The fourth victim, being Ryuzaki, here's where the trend is thrown off, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at what happens to the fourth victim. The fourth victim is what? Set on fire or set ablaze. Now you tell me now. After you go through this, and this, then fit the profile, you torture each of these persons, but you get to the fourth victim and you forget to torture them? Like suddenly you just, you're so kind to this fourth victim. Why is the fourth victim free from all of the madness what you did do to the previous three? Because it's easy for wicked to somebody else, but it's not as easy for wicked to yourself. That is why him set himself on fire. And also it come with the genius of possibly burning off any, what you call it now, any thumbprints, the fingerprints. It would have burned off the fingerprints, possibly unable to recognize the face. Problem though, forensically, you can identify somebody by dental records. So him never take that into consideration. If he had wanted to really go missing, he would have replaced all of him real teeth with veneers, and thus you wouldn't be able to identify him. So in other words, this idea that him kill himself, making himself look like the fourth victim when in reality he's the person that killed the other three, this story now go hold up, because guess what? 1, 2, 3 fit, but this one don't fit. 1, 2, 3 fit, but this one don't fit. You have to be the killer. It had to be you. Because how come the deaths stop right after number 4? Because it was you that they killed all of these people before. So I am saying this as somebody that I wouldn't even dare to say that I am on the same level intellectually as an L or nearer or mellow, right? But just by looking at this, you're wicked to this person, right? So this match this, this match this, this match this, and all of a sudden you get so kind with the fourth victim that all you did with them is just set them on fire. Why you never cut off your hand them? Why you never take a song and go so? Why you never cut off your hand and then set yourself on fire? Or ask somebody to beat you with a bat and then you set yourself on fire and make the person hide under the bed. And then allow that. If you want it to be thorough, you might as well do it that way. But the way I see it, the way how this is looking, even if he had successfully killed himself, just by virtue of the fact that this doesn't match, this person had to be the killer. You understand? BB or Ryozaki had to be the killer of the 3 previous victims. Had to be. Had to be. There's no argument against that. All evidence point to the 4th person. How come you reach a RR? And what were you going to say? Well, the next victim would have been a BB and then the next one would have been SS. No go so. There were only 4 $1 dolls. And once you got to the last victim, there was only 1 doll. And then that's the other thing. They say it takes at least 2 of the dolls for the string trick to work with the door. But if you only have 1, it means that the person has to go and lock themselves in the room. Therefore, if you already analyze that the trick requires at least 2 $1 dolls, by virtue of the fact that the last victim only had 1, it means that the last victim was the killer himself. So, the point I'm making is, there is no way. There is no way that anybody else could have been the killer except the 4th person. And the fact that, because think about it, how would you have identified the names of those people so easily in the way that he did? Nobody knew he had Shinigami eyes. Nobody knew that. That's how him know people name just by looking at them face. And unless he had the luck of meeting another human who had the same condition as him, there's no way another person could imitate those murders. Even if you did a copycat situation, they would not have gotten it to the letter the way that this person did. So it just wouldn't work. So the truth of the matter is, this is not an unsolvable case. It's not. It's not an unsolvable case. I believe I have made my case. Yeah? I believe I've made my case. I believe so. Yeah? So, yeah. Normally I would do this, you know, in the night there. You know. But I don't know. This was too good to be true. This was too good to be true. I needed to point this out. Yeah? Believe bridesmaid, quarter queen, backyard bottom slash Ryozaki. Yeah? Defile the corpse over here. Defile the corpse over here. Defile the corpse over here. All of a sudden, you set yourself on fire and there is no previous injury. No poisoning, no drugging, no strangulation, nothing at all. So apart from setting yourself on fire, there's no other earthly form of torment that you receive. Yeah, it had to be you. Process of elimination. If I think about it, this is a multiple choice. A, B, C, D. Well, guess what? This is your answer. This is your answer. This is your answer. This person had to be the killer. By virtue of just multiple choice alone, BB already made the case solvable. So in other words, if I can figure this out, L would have done the same. Right? There's no way that L could have figured this out. L would have figured it out. This is not an unsolvable case. It's not. It's really not. So you know what? Yeah, I'm happy with that. And I can leave it there. I can leave it there. Right? So I will probably make some videos as a follow-up to this and probably reference this again in the video itself. So anyway, thanks for paying attention to the madness of me talking about this. I don't know, it hit me and I felt like if I never do it now, I wasn't going to remember to do it later. So I might as well, you know, it spur the moment, right? Like a freestyle, why not? Yeah. So anyway, big up on yourself. I'm going to try and make another video about this. And probably I'll use some of this as a playback. Yeah? So, big up on yourself, you know? Big up on yourself. Let me spin this around. Can I spin this around? Let me spin this around. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So again, thanks for listening to me ramble about, you know, the LABB murder case. Why not? Why not?